Hermes, draw near, and to my prayer incline, in art's gymnastic and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, and thyself land here.
Welcome to Third Eye Bind, episode 45, Kitchen Witchery.
You'll be married for a baker's dozen now.
A baker's dozen? That's funny. Well, hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Caitlin.
And welcome to Third Eye Bind.
This week,
we are talking
should I announce
about...
what we're talking about?
No, we're talking about it.
Yeah,
we're talking about kitchen witchery.
Yum, yum.
Yummy, yum in my tummy tum.
But before we get into this week's topic, we would like to invite you to support our independent podcast by liking this video, subscribing on YouTube, leaving comments, or leaving us a 5-star rating on whatever streaming platform you're listening from. And if you really love us and want to support us, we have a few ways you can do that. Via Patreon at patreon.com/thirdeyebind.
Yeah, I think it's Third Eye Bind or Third Eye Bind Pod.
It's one of those. You'll find us. And it's all linked in the show notes and on our website. And Laura has designed some really incredible merch, which you can shop on our website and directly, well, maybe not yet directly from YouTube, but
you can find it in our show notes.
You can find it in our show notes. You can find it in the link in our bio on IG. Be sure to give us a follow on IG. Tell your friends.
Yes. You can have your very own shmug.
A shmug.
A shmug.
Or a t-shirt with Hermes on it.
Yes.
Our custom Hermes. There's so much cute stuff on the merch shop.
Yes.
So be sure to check it out.
Support that.
Yes.
That goes directly to making our podcast keep a podcasting. Podcasting.
Yes. And I do think we provide a really valuable free resource
we do.
To our community. That's the feedback that we've been consistently receiving. And while it's free for everyone else, it's not free for us.
It's not free for us. So Patreon really, really helps. We have an amazing number of you already donating.
And thank you.
And thank you. And we see you, and we really, really appreciate it.
We're so grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. So
let's get
kitchen
into
witchery.
Kitchen witchery. Okay, let's see what the cards.
What the cards have for a snack for
Ooh,
us
that's
today.
it.
What's a...
Okay. I'm very curious.
Oh, comfy. Kitchen. There's a sale at the Kitchen store.
That's a lot. So
that's a Mall Madness reference.
I pulled the Four of Cups. And
the Four of Cups.
The Four of Cups is this moment where we may not necessarily want to pause, but the pause is absolutely necessary for us to have the capacity to move forward, for us to receive the messages that the good spirits have to offer to us. It's a time when we're kind of feeling depleted, we're not feeling completely supported, and we feel like we need to keep moving, but the universe is like, babe, you just need to be still for a minute so that you can see what's immediately in front of you. And I feel like this relates to kitchen witchery in a beautiful way because making food requires time, energy, attention, something that we don't always have to offer or feel like offering. But it is in that pause, taking a break from everything else around you, and forcing yourself to be in the kitchen and to prepare yourself some sort of meal, even if it's like, lunch meat and some crackers, but like something for yourself. That's an offering to your body, and it's a way to refill your cup when you're feeling depleted. And food really is an act of service to yourself.
Right. That's so true. It requires time. I love that you said time is required because I've been doing a lot of Jack in the Box and not preparing meals for myself. And I'm pretty big on kitchen witchery and it's probably the most natural arena that I was drawn to, like, before I like knew. I think it's a natural skill that I have to cook and to cook intuitively, which is magical. And yeah, it absolutely requires time to, and even moments to like instill magic into your ingredients. It takes like the extra intent and a little bit of extra sauce, if you will, to activate an ingredient and consciously or unconsciously make it a meal like magical.
It's alchemical.
Yeah. And it does require time, and I've been like the Four of Cups, like very that energy lately. And I definitely relate to the needing of time, because when you're hungry, you don't have a lot of time. If you're hungry to the point of like, I need to eat something or I will pass out or something will happen to me, like you have to just eat what you have on hand, and you don't maybe have time to bake a magical batch of muffins, but yeah, I definitely relate to that.
And I feel like food is one of those things that, because of capitalism, we just don't always have or feel like we have time for. And when I was in the apparel industry, like not eating was so glorified, not only from like a 90s models ripple effect perspective,
Eating cotton balls.
Exactly. There was a lot of like ED stuff going on in the apparel industry. Everybody wants to be sample size. But like there was this glorification of working through your lunch breaks. Of like being so busy that you can't stop and eat. And I can't tell you how many bosses I worked for who were like, I don't have time to eat. I work through my lunch. I don't have time to eat. I work through my lunch. And for a long time, I was like that too.
I do that.
I was like super programmed in that mindset. Like I show my dedication by not feeding myself. And it took a lot of work with my good spirits to realize like, no, you absolutely must make the time to feed yourself by any means necessary. And it really was like a big part of my radicalization, to be honest, to like start taking back my lunch break and taking it really seriously and like praying over my food before I eat it, whether it was ramen or something that I had meal prepped ahead of time. But food is something that we just don't really have a lot of time for. And it's a bummer, because it really is magical.
It is totally a symptom of like capitalism that we don't, and why fast food exists and perpetuates. And look, I love fast food. I'm not gonna lie. I ate a lot of fast food and preservative-filled rice-a-rones growing up.
I love rice-a-rones.
I love rice. Boxed pastas good. Created this, okay? Whatever mental illness I have is probably from all the preservatives. I'm just kidding. But it's not to say, like, my parents didn't cook for me. That food is a big part of, like, Portuguese culture. And, like, my parents both really have emotional relationships with food, which is both good and bad. In that I'm an emotional eater, and sometimes I think it's okay. I think I relate lately just because I've been so busy. It's not like I'm trying to work through lunch.
Yeah.
But Mike will tell you sometimes I'm like, I'm just not eating lunch today because I'm so hyper focused on what I'm doing. Like I just don't. And then I will like get my fill at dinner. Like I'm never not eating. I am not that person. If anything, it's the opposite, where I'm like eating too much of a good thing or something. And I've had to learn balance with that. But it's always balance. Like I've never had like an ED or anything like that because I love eat. I'm a Taurus, right? Like I love food and pleasurable things. And I haven't luckily had any issues with that, but definitely body image for sure. I live in Los Angeles. And it's a big thing to like want to be like a sample size or whatever and be thin. And I've tried dieting and doing like keto and things like that. And it's just not sustainable for me because I enjoy eating the things that I want to eat. And food is pleasure. And being more than a sample size is more than okay. And it's real hard that we put that on ourselves, you know, and it's hard to avoid. I don't blame anybody for feeling that way.
It is hard to avoid. Going back to what we talked about last week when it comes to the power of performance and media, there's this spectrum of how it can swing, you know, both ways. And food, preparing our food as performance and as ritual can be a really beautiful thing. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The onion volcano.
Yes. Flip a shrimp in my mouth.
But then we also have this other side of things where the performance of the media affects how we see ourselves and how we feed ourselves. And like growing up in the 90s was hard.
Drink milk and you'll be fine.
Right? But don't eat.
Don't eat.
Don't eat because, okay, people were so skinny back then.
So skinny,
So
whether it was from
skinny.
drugs or just not eating.
Like heroin chic
was like a thing.
And it was like the standard of beauty. And it was like, it had to have been exhausting for our moms. And
oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's just... It's a lot. It's a lot, especially if you're doing something where you, like if you're a performer or an actor where your body is being judged and your looks are being judged. And that's partially why
the camera adds 10 pounds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think about that all the time. I think about that all the time. In the back of my head, it's like, oh, I look really good today, but how would I look on camera?
Yeah.
That's not a healthy thought to have. And that, I think, goes back from, I don't know. I mean, I think when I moved to LA, it got worse. Being in a culture that, while it's so beautiful and diverse, and I absolutely love Los Angeles, and I love living here, and I'm very lucky to be able to afford to live here, and I'm grateful. You know, there's a culture of, like, we're taking diabetes medications to lose weight when we don't have diabetes. Like, it's really hard when people don't see themselves in roles of like power and strength and like beauty.
Absolutely.
And it's changed a lot for the better.
It's changing a lot now. Yes. But yeah, for a long time you just didn't see fat people on TV. No. You just didn't see black and brown people on TV.
No.
Like there was a resurgence of like really cool people of color shows in the 90s that also like went away.
Yeah.
But like UPN was kind of awesome at that time. But yeah, you just didn't, or if you did see people who were more than a size 2, they were the joke.
Like Bridget Jones' Diary is a good example of the whole joke is like she's supposed to be fat in a negative way. And she's like maybe a size 6.
Maybe a 6. Maybe a 6.
She looked normal and beautiful. And but framing that movie around the narrative of like, this is what fat looks like.
Yeah. And there's something wrong with her and she's lucky to get anybody.
Yeah. That is unbelievably messed up.
It's so fucked up.
There was a lot of movies like that where it's, you know, the fat friend gets made fun of.
Yeah.
Shallow Hal is a movie.
Yeah, all about making fun of that. Friends. Do you remember like Monica? There was a whole joke about how Monica got skinny now. Yeah. And it's never
fat
like,
suits.
this is just a human.
Yeah.
We all have normal human bodies in various shapes and sizes. Yeah. And like, no wonder so many of us have complicated relationships with food and body.
And that feeds into how we pleasure ourselves and how we experience pleasure and how we allow ourselves to feel pleasure.
Yes.
I think worthiness has a lot to do with that, whether it's like sex trauma or food trauma. I feel like these sorts of traumas sort of feed into each other with, you know, like indulgence.
In a way, they're all kind of connected.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. But the food is in itself like a transformative art, right? I mean, it's sad that we don't have time to do that communally and I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but like Mike is Chinese, shocker. My last name is Wong. But in other cultures other than like Western white cultures, like sharing food is a thing, right? Food is like the thing the pleasure that brings everyone together to like share ritual or just joy and family, and it's like a symbol of all these things. I tend to like not like to share my food. I don't know why. It's just like, I guess it's because, I mean, I'll share. I'm not like, oh, you can't have it. But my instinct is to be like, I got my food. You got your food. It's just, I want my bowl of mac and cheese by myself. Like, I'm not going to bullshit. Like that's how I tend to be. And looking back, like when I was growing up, we never ate food at the table together. Ever. It was like me and my brother would sit on TV trays and like watch TV while we ate together. Yeah. You know, my mom would eat like separately in the kitchen, and my dad, for whatever reason, there's nothing like wrong with that, but like the communal element wasn't there, like ever. And so we would, when we barbecued with like our like Portuguese like family and stuff, we would do barbecues and stuff. Like I'm from Santa Maria, California, which is like the tri-tip capital of the world. And we love to barbecue. So but it's weird because when I smell barbecue, I love the smell of barbecue because it reminds me of family. Because I have that connection to it, that it meant family was together. But normal dinner situations aren't always like that. I don't know. How was it when you were growing up?
I mean, growing up, we did lots of TV tray dinners too, but we were all in the same room. We all ate in the same room, but on our our respective TV trays. Sometimes we did like table dinner, depending on my parents' mood. That's cool. It was really just a matter of like what everybody was up for, or if there was like shit all over our dining table, which happens, like mail, backpacks. That's mostly why we ended up eating at TV trays, because all of our stuff just kind of got piled on the table
tray.
When we got home. Me too.
There's nothing wrong with like, I think communal eating looks different for everybody.
Yeah, but we were together and we were all watching the same Rock of Love together and talking about it together. I'm super blessed because not only did my parents both cook, but they were also really into trashy TV and like the early onset of trashy TV. Yeah. Like I absolutely watched shows that were not appropriate, but so good. And I grew up in a house where like we yell at the TV. That's part of the fun. And so we're all yelling at the TV together, eating. And my dad usually cooked for us because he was the one that was home earlier. And there was always something amazing to eat. Like he was...
What was your favorite meal? I know. What was your favorite meal that he would cook?
I've been really missing him lately.
If you don't want
to share, it's hard to decide. It's funny. Lola asked me this the other day, but I really love. There's this Cuban dish called pollo fricassé. So it's like chicken fricassee, but Cuban style, and so it's like a whole chicken cooked in a pot with like potatoes and onions and lots of garlic and bell peppers and like an entire bottle of wine, and it just like sits on the stove all fucking day long, and then at the end of the night you get to eat it, and you like pour the juices all over your white rice, and the chicken like falls off the bone, and that's one of my favorite things that he would make and my abuela would make too. That's one of my favorite things. But my dad loved food so much that he would cook food from anywhere. If he saw something he liked, he would make it. We watched a lot of Food Network in our house. And so like food was always really important. Like making sure that we ate was always important. And I'm also really grateful to my dad because he took so much pride in making our lunches every day for school. Like that was really one of his rituals. And I was like a little neurodivergent kid. Like if the food didn't look the way I needed it to look, I wouldn't eat it. So he would cut all of my sandwiches into seasonal shapes. Like during Lent, he would send me lox and cream cheese or little cucumber sushi rolls. Like he was just so good at that. And that's something that I've inherited from him with my kids. And I spend a lot of time in the mornings like making these really special lunches that are for each of them and their unique tastes and preferences. And like that really is a a ritual. And when they get home, like seeing the empty lunchbox, like feels so fucking good.
You know what's a super ritual you add on to that? Writing notes to your kids
I know.
and lunches. My mom did that.
Yes.
She would write me little poems and little things, and like, that's a spell.
Yes.
My mom's a witch.
Absolutely.
She's very witchy.
I love leaving notes in the lunch. Although lately Lola's like, can you put random facts in my lunchbox? I was like, bro, that's going to take a lot more planning, but I can work on it.
That's okay.
Maybe I can like print a bunch up on Canva or something.
That's really cute. Aw.
But that kind of has that Four of Cups energy too. Like in a world where we feel like we're always rushing, where it might be easier to like tell them to just eat free lunch at school. Like I've made a commitment to myself and to the babies that like I'm always going to do this for you.
Yeah.
Every day. So you have exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Every day. And you can feel like the love in your tummy.
Yeah. It's important when you have like, if you're able to, if you have little loved ones, like we cook for, I buy bougie ass like dried whatever the dog food for Kaiju, and then we cook for my husband cooks for Fox. He eats bison, which is not cheap, but it's like the only thing he's not allergic to. And like
Fox.
And we usually include like greens from the garden. It's a whole thing, and it's like not cheap, but like there are equivalent to babies, so that's what we do for them.
Yes, you pour your love into their meals.
Yeah, wish bison was cheaper, but whatever.
For sure, it is delicious though.
But speaking of like what your parents taught you in gardening and stuff, like my dad's love language is gardening and talking about gardening, and he's like a very green thumb. He always had gardens like growing up, so we did have, although we did eat a lot of boxed meals, which are delicious. Butter
you just
and
say a little
noodles.
prayer over it, it's all good.
It's delicious.
It's still magic.
It's still magic. It doesn't have to be like bougie food to be magical and whatever. But except for Domino's Pizza is the devil, because it gives me mad diarrhea. And I don't like you, Domino's Pizza. You've given me 4 times
that
food
will
poisoning.
never be magical for Laura.
No, not for me. Sorry. But don't sponsor us, Domino's Pizza. I will reject it. I will reject your hundreds and thousands of
Purgatory
dollars.
Pizza, we're still waiting.
Oh,
Lucifer's
yes,
Pizza.
Purgatory
Lucifer's
Pizza.
Either one.
I love
really.
I pictured pizza, like a pizza place in Purgatory called Purgatory's Pizza.
We used to order Purgatory when I lived in Echo Park.
Yes.
It's a good one. Can a pizza
it's a
company?
real?
Yeah,
Wait,
it's real.
I thought you made it up.
No.
Oh.
Can a pizza place
Can some
sponsor us?
Devil
We love pizza.
Esque pizza place to sponsor us, please. Anyways, my dad taught me about gardening. And so I did have that element of like growing your own stuff and what that feels like. And that's definitely something that, like when I eat something I've grown, it tastes a lot different because it's not have chemicals on it. But also I grew it, and it is magical because I grew it myself,
Yes.
you know?
My dad was a big green thumb too. Like gardening was one of his love languages too. And I remember him like handing me tomatoes that he had grown.
Yeah,
and,
tomatoes are a thing.
When we lived in our first house, we had tomatoes and pumpkins and corn and beans. And like, it was just really, really cool. It was really cool.
That's amazing. My dad's nickname is Pickle Jim.
That's funny.
So he likes to pickle things.
Yes.
Which is magic in itself.
Pickling
Can we talk
is
about pickles
magic.
for a minute?
I
Pickling
fucking love
is
pickles.
Who thought of pickling? Like that's
Really though, where did it
preserving
start?
and transforming?
Yes. Making
magical.
food last through seasons when like the fresh food doesn't exist. It's not possible. Like that's fucking brilliant.
That's brilliant.
Like salted meats and pickling. Like that's magic.
Yes. It is magic and alchemy, and I don't think he realizes it, but it is very magical, like pickling. I love pickles. I love
so
pickle
cool.
juice.
My grandma was really into jarring things.
Yes.
Like making fruit preserves and things like that. And my mom's mom, Mary, she grew up during the Depression in Boyle Heights. And so she was used to, and she had 7 siblings. and they were super poor, and they were like one of the first Mexican families to move into that neighborhood because it was primarily Jewish. Like Cesar Chavez Boulevard used to be called Brooklyn Boulevard. And my grandma just had this way of making incredible food from nothing. And she used every single bit of everything. And I think a lot of that comes from growing up in the Depression.
Yeah.
But I remember watching her lay out dough to make biscuits. And like for me, like I'll go and get the Pillsbury ones because I just a rolling pin, I can't. Where am I going to put it in my teeny tiny apartment? But she would like roll out biscuits, and I remember watching her cut them and the way she would knead the dough back together, roll it out again, and just keep making more and more. And then she would take all the little scraps and like freeze them for the next batch and integrate it into the next batch she made. And I was like, that's magical. The way there's always something. Or she would take the leftover and those would become dumplings and chicken and dumplings. And like she had this way of alchemizing whatever limited resources were available to her and like making a feast for us.
Yes. That was a learned skill that we've lost because of capitalism. And just different things. Like it's funny because during COVID, during lockdown, what did people do?
We baked.
They baked. They made a bunch of banana bread. Baking
Sourdough
is therapeutic. It's useful. Like that, we started, it's like we almost started to like be like, oh, we have time. We want to bake. We want to cook. We want to create. We want to do things that, and as much as it was an extremely awful and is an awful thing in the world, like if you're gonna look at any silver lining, I think it was like, what did you do when you had time? You know? My garden was like hot. Remember the tomatoes?
Mine was too. My garden looked amazing.
Because it wasn't even that I was doing anything differently to it. I did like rituals when I planted it, like intense ones, because I thought I was going to have to live off of my tomatoes and I was scared. But like it worked, and it worked it worked. And it was just like a very good example of like putting time into your rituals, your magic, your cooking, the difference that it really, really does make, the energy that you put into it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And even if you don't have the time, like you said, I like a frozen Trader Joe's pasta moment myself.
Me too. I subscribe to Factor, which is
What's Factor?
Okay, so they are not frozen. It's like fresh food, and they're individual meals, and they're actually big enough to fill you up. Usually those meal things are not enough. You have to eat two. But they drop them off on your doorstep.
Oh, that's cool.
Week. And
sponsor us?
Sponsor us. Factor. You sponsor a lot of podcasts.
We should reach out.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us, please.
But this is not an ad.
Not an ad.
But something I did tell my friends is like, I've started eating lunch again, because before I was like, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I'm too busy.
You have a little hair.
And
it's attached to your head. We're good.
Yeah.
Go on.
Little baby hairs.
Yeah.
But because I started doing that, I'm actually eating lunch again. And because I'm eating lunch, I've started making myself breakfast because I'm not stressed about not knowing what I'm going to cook for myself later. And even though it's definitely a shortcut, I'm not preparing the meal from start to finish. I am taking the time for the ritual of feeding myself and nourishing my body. And like sometimes that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that is okay. And that's still, there's still ways to activate that leftover pizza, you know, like just that gratefulness, that acknowledgement that you're taking a moment to fill your cup.
Yes.
Especially as a mom.
Yeah.
I would imagine, as a parent, like just especially, I feed my dogs twice. It's fine. It's not that big of a hassle, but
my kids are always eating.
You have to fill your own cup before you help others, sort of a thing. Like you're the
exactly.
fountain, and then you fill up the fountain, and then the little cups on the side get fed, you know?
And before, like, it was getting to the point where by the time I was picking up my kids, I was hitting the wall so hard because I was so hungry. And then I had to go make dinner. Are you kidding me? That doesn't sound fun.
It's a lot.
So it really was super helpful for me, and I'm grateful. And like, we have to find ways to make rituals out of the things we do for convenience. And that's okay.
That's practical magic.
Yeah, that's practical magic. Like when I'm eating, whether I've prepared it myself or I put it in the microwave, I don't have my laptop open anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I turn off all the screens.
Yeah.
I don't do work things. I just eat.
Yeah.
And that has been really, like, energizing for me.
It's a break. It's just like a little meditation, like
Yeah.
body meditation almost.
Like a real lunch
like
break.
a real lunch break where you just sit there and you eat.
And I think when you work for yourself, it's so easy to just keep
Multitasking.
yeah, especially when you're in a groove.
Yeah.
But I've really had to become disciplined with myself on that, and I'm glad I did. You know, I definitely sometimes feel like the Four of Cups, like pouting there, like I wanna keep sending emails, and it's like, no, you're gonna just sit and eat.
I think I'm pretty good about eating. I'm really good at eating.
Yeah.
No, I am, because I like it so much that I look forward to it. When it becomes a problem is when it's the only thing I look forward to, which has happened because I'm sad sometimes. But I enjoy it that much where I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to have dinner. And my partner and I like love to cook together.
That's cute.
We have our little things that we are our little magicians at. Like I always bake and he always makes like salmon. That's his thing. I don't do the salmon. But it's like we have our little like things where I make the garlic bread. I make really good garlic bread, and that's my thing that I make. And it's just like how it is. It's like a little
cute.
cooking coven almost with two people.
Yes.
Like it's really fun. We like it a lot.
I don't like sharing the kitchen. Personally,
I really don't either, but I'll do it for him.
I don't like sharing it, and I've had to get out of that mindset with my kids because they always want to be up in there helping, and I need to let them help because one of the regrets I have with my dad is that like he would always chase us out of the kitchen because we were in his way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, I have no practical life skills.
You're like, great, I know how to use a rolling pin.
I don't know how to use a knife. Like, so I'm trying to be better about letting them be around when I'm doing stuff because the truth is they don't even want to help that much anyway.
They just want to be around you.
They just want to touch some things and then like bounce and go back to whatever they were doing. So like, what am I so pressed about that I can't let them
What's
hang
the
out
worst
a
that
little
can
bit?
happen?
They might gain a valuable life skill.
They might.
Like,
it'll be 5 extra minutes to prepare the meal because they're around distracting you or whatever. Yeah. No, I've had to learn to share too. I mean, when I'm cooking something though, like I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
And if it's just me cooking for him, then if it's a together sitch where like we'll be like, what do you want? You know, if it's a frozen pizza, okay, I'll chop the mushrooms, you reheat it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like there's little things we do as a team. But if I'm like just baking muffins, it's my thing. I'll even throw on my headphones, listen to a podcast, just like zone out. And like when I make soup,
I love making soup.
not to be a cliche witch, but when I make soup, it is a effing spell. An effing spell. Like I do everything intuitively. Like it drives Mike crazy sometimes because he's like, well, how much do you know you're putting in? Like, and I'm like, I don't know. Let's see what happens, baby. You know, like I'm just like, I just know. And it always does turn out like I just intuitively, like I understand when to stop putting something in. Like I rarely mess things up.
Yeah.
And
I love making soup.
It's really magical. And I can even feel like when I'm cooking with intention, like I can feel like the way that I sprinkle something in or is like a whole thing, and like the way you stir something the way it's so specific to everybody, and that's why it's hard to share a kitchen. I think for a witch, if you like to cook, because you're just like, this is my thing. You know, and Mike's like that too. Like I can tell, it's funny because I can tell like the way I'm stirring something, he'll be like, I wouldn't stir it like that. Wouldn't do that.
My mom and dad were like, thought it was so funny.
Yeah. And I can tell. So sometimes I'll just let him stir it. But then we stir differently. Like he likes to use a spatula to stir things. And I'm like, what are you doing? But he has his method. So it's his little magicianry is different than mine. But he's a really good cook too. And he's honestly cooked for me the past like few months when I've just been real busy. Like he'll cook for me.
I love when someone cooks for me.
It's just really nice.
That is my favorite thing when someone cooks for me. Like my husband doesn't cook a lot. He gets super self-conscious about the things that he cooks just because my dad was such a rock star in the kitchen. And I'm like, you don't understand. The fact that you are cooking for me makes it delicious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's grilled cheese, if it's a bean burrito. Like, the fact that you're doing it for me because you want me to eat something is everything to me. Like, there's nothing more delicious than that for me.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. It's
really,
delicious.
It's really sweet. I also get really butthurt when like I make something and I'm like, it is done. It is a masterpiece. And the Mike's like, I'm gonna throw some hot sauce on this. Or like, I think I'm gonna add some meat, or I'm gonna add some like some meatless like tofurkey or some.
You're like, what are you doing?
He's like, I'm gonna add some bacon. Do you want some? I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? But yeah, it's really funny. I'm like, you're ruining my masterpiece. But it's like, it's just food.
But I get
why
it.
does it matter so much? You know, it's so silly that I do that. But yeah.
Something that was always really magical growing up was watching my nana make tamales.
Ooh.
Like
I love that whole process.
Every Christmas, just like from
They're so good.
that cornmeal
The masa.
into magic, all the different fillings that she always made two kinds, red and green. And like just watching her make the fillings for the different tamales, like the smell, the sweetness of the corn, like it's just, and then when she would open up the thing and all the steam would come out, like that's so witchy too, all the steam coming out of the giant cauldron, and then you pull out these little pockets of deliciousness.
Yeah, the imagery of a cauldron too. I mean, just it's a device you cook with traditionally.
Yeah.
And yeah, whether you're cooking, I wonder how that came to be associated with witches. It was probably from the healers and the who
like
cooked
women
for
and femmes
people
in
and
general.
women.
Yeah.
It being associated with like the household, like brooms too. I mean, you know, it's just like
it's all women.
It's
traditionally
all
women's
traditional
work.
like women's work.
Yeah.
And yeah.
My favorite cauldron is the rice cooker. And I feel like there's something so ritualistic about washing the rice.
Cleaning,
like
cleansing something.
You need to wash the rice until the water is clear. You need to wash, and then you wash it one more time or twice more, just in case. And I always feel like you can taste how many times and with how much intention the rice was washed. And it's something that I've had to like kind of teach my husband. And the other day he made rice and he's like, I washed it 13 times. Is that okay? I was like, absolutely.
Wow.
When he was done, he was like, it's probably not as good as yours. And I was like, this is the best rice you've ever made. Like, there's something, it takes so much time. You have to be careful so you don't spill rice down your garbage disposal. Yeah. And it really does. Like, it's so good. Rice is my favorite food.
I love rice.
I love rice.
What do you just eat it by itself? What do you like to do with
so many
the rice?
ways. So like,
obviously as a side dish.
In Cuban culture, we eat a lot of white rice, and that comes from, well, there's two things. I think rice came with the enslaved Africans during the Middle Passage, and then it also came because after the abolition of slavery, the Spanish decided to exploit labor in a different way by bringing in indentured servants, basically, just a different name for slaves, from China. And so like Cubans cook with the wok, we eat fried rice, and we eat white rice, which isn't as common in other Latin American cultures.
No.
So we eat a lot of white rice with black beans, we eat white rice with red beans, we eat white rice with garbanzo beans, we eat rice with chicken, like arroz con pollo, and like just white rice with fried egg on top.
So hungry right now.
That's my favorite food. And you have to fry the egg in oil. Like there's something about the danger that makes it more delicious. And like the edges get all crispy.
Yeah, it's always
and
oil.
The yolk is all like golden on the white rice. It's so good.
Eggs are magical.
Eggs are magical.
Eggs are embryos of creation. You can do anything with an egg.
It's so cool.
You can even do a face mask with an egg. I love a poached egg. I love, I learned how to poach eggs. I learned how to poach eggs. Wow. And it was because I wanted to make Benedicts at home,
Yeah.
you know.
I love a poached egg.
Were there any foods that you don't like for any certain reason?
No.
None? None off the top of your head?
None that I can recall. But my dad was
Ingredients?
always really big. No.
Wow.
My dad was always really big on us eating everything. Like, and not in like a, you better eat that or you get nothing kind of way. But he was like, you need to eat everything because you're not going to be one of those kids who's like, your food's smelly. Ew. Like, f- those kids. It's not their fault. It's their parents' fault.
No, that is messed up.
It's their parents' fault.
Yeah.
But my dad was always like, you can't be weird about the way other people's food smell, the way other people's food tastes. You're going to eat everything. And like we did. Like we grew up eating all kinds of things. Indian food. Like everything. Everything.
Yeah.
I remember going to the sushi bar with my dad when I was really small. And like the sushi chef was like, you're going to eat this? And I was like, yeah.
That's amazing.
I don't think there are any ingredients I don't like either. Like
You're not allergic to anything?
I'm not allergic to anything.
Me neither.
I love food so much. I eat canned sardines on the regs. Like, I eat weird things.
I wouldn't eat that.
I loved canned sardines and like oil or canned anchovies. That's like super
anchovies.
Spanish. Some like canned fish and oil and some crackers and salty cheese.
Yeah.
Some olives and
Mike's
pickles
like,
on the side. Yes, it's so good. Or sometimes I put the sardines in the air fryer.
Yeah.
And then they get crispy on the outside and put that on top of white rice.
That sounds good.
Delicious.
I like that.
What about you? Is there anything you won't eat or don't like to eat?
Yeah, there's a few. I don't like hot dogs. Like when people put hot dogs in their mac and cheese. I'm not about that life.
I don't really eat
like
mac and
hot
cheese because
dogs.
of the dairy.
Oh.
Yeah. I like hot dogs.
I love mac and cheese. I do not like hot dogs. I do not like hot dogs. I like linguiça.
Oh, I love some
I will
salchichas.
eat that every single day of my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, no hot dogs. And what will I not eat? What will I not eat?
When I was a camp counselor, we used to make hot dogs for all the campers on Wednesdays. And me and the other counselor, Sparrow, every week would have a competition to see who could eat the most hot dogs.
Well, see, I'll eat a
one.
little, what are they called? Little wieners? The little wieners?
Those are good too.
I like those over a campfire. I will eat a hot dog.
I like a burned hot dog.
Yeah,
though.
like
I don't
want
like a
charred.
boiled one.
Yeah.
I like it blistery.
Yes, I think that's my, I don't like boiled hot dogs. I'd probably eat, like at a ball game, I'd probably eat like a good charred hot dog.
Yeah.
It's more of a textural thing for me.
I love I also don't like the boiled hot dogs. But
I need a charred wiener.
Yeah, I need a charred wiener.
I need a charred wiener.
No boiled wieners.
No boiled wieners.
Gross.
Not eat. I think I didn't have as much diverse eating growing up.
Anchovies.
I mean, I'm not gonna like.
Do you put anchovies on your pizza,
Yes.
Mike? Yeah, me too.
I'll eat it. I'm not gonna refuse to eat it. But if I have a choice, I won't eat it.
I love it.
If I have a choice, which I do all the time, so it's
I
always
always have to
no.
order the anchovies on the side because Brian doesn't like them. I like when you get the anchovies on the pizza though, because then it like bakes into the cheese.
We'll have to get
Fuck
that
me
next
up.
time we
It's
get
so
our
good.
Third Eye Bind pizza time.
It's delicious.
But I like pineapples on my pizza.
I do too.
Well, good.
That's very controversial.
It is, and I like it.
I love a Hawaiian pizza.
I don't like ham on the pizza.
Oh,
though.
I like the ham too.
I don't like the ham.
And
I don't like ham in general.
I like a jalapeno with it too.
Ooh. I would have pepperoni, pineapple, and jalapeno.
That sounds good to me. Do you like big pepperonis or small pepperonis?
I'll take a pepperoni any way
Any
you give it to
size.
me.
Yeah. I like both, but I prefer the small ones.
The small ones are really
because
good.
They like curl up on me and
yes,
get
and the
crunchy.
oil in the middle. Yes, that's
Why
very,
is that
very
so
good.
good?
I don't know, but it's delicious.
Something that all this food talk is making me think of is one of the things my dad taught me is like the base of all Cuban food is green bell pepper, onion, and garlic. And if you have that, you can make anything that tastes delicious. And it's kind of this, it goes back to when we talk about having like foundational disciplines for stuff in order to improvise.
Yeah.
And like that was one of those things that I learned. And so like at the base of everything, just about everything that I make, there's onions, bell pepper, and garlic in the pan and oil first. And then the house smells good.
Garlic and onion. Garlic for me is like garlic. My dad's a big garlic person too. Like garlic's just a thing. Yeah. And garlic is a very magical ingredient. All ingredients are magical, but like we talked about in the plant episode, like there are certain plants that we can consume that have like very interesting folklore surrounding them, and garlic is like one of them, like the vampires, and like it's available in different areas and cultures, and like
garlic is really big cool. in Judaism too, in Jewish culture.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Garlic is magic, and like garlic can keep you from getting sick. Garlic can also ward away like evil spirits.
It's like protective about like the intensity of the flavor.
It's so potent, but it's so small. Like garlic is magical.
Garlic is very cool. I want a garlic bulb tattoo. Side note.
Me too. I've been thinking that. Yes. I've been wanting to put a garlic next to my salt.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I've been looking at garlic bulb tattoos.
We'll have to make it. We'll have to find an
artist. Or cherry tomato vine.
And make a date.
We're going to have
garlic bulbs.
Get garlic bulbs.
Yeah. I want one that has like a little bit of a sprout coming out of it.
Did you see my spell space design of Hecate?
I haven't looked at that one yet.
I drew garlic bulbs, and it's 3 of them, and it's pretty cool.
Yes.
I want it kind of long, and roots. But
yes, a little bit of roots and a little bit of the sprout.
Yeah, not too much, but yeah, I've seen some people that have them like boom, and I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But garlic is always butter and garlic is
butter.
I mean, come on, the combination of butter and garlic.
I fucking love butter so much.
I like making my own like fettuccine. That's a vibe because it's garlic, butter, and heavy cream.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't eat fettuccine as much just because the heavy cream will try to kill me.
So dairy is not a great thing for you.
Dairy's not a great thing for me, but I love dairy.
Yeah.
Like I like cheese and crackers and cured meats.
Have you had cashew cheese?
Is my jam. And there are good cheeses. Like the cashew cheese is good. I've had a lot of good.
But you know what?
It's just not
it's expensive.
It costs so much more.
And yeah.
And cheese is already expensive right now.
Organic.
Everything's expensive.
Vegan,
Yeah.
Dairy alt foods are at a time when right now groceries are real expensive. A can of effing oatmeal was $8 at the store the other day. I was looking for, because we mix it in with Fox's like bougie ass bison meal.
No.
It was $8 for a can like of Quaker Oats.
No.
For shame.
For shame.
And I was like, nope, we're getting not
That's insane.
Yeah. So I mean, things are very expensive right now. And what do you do when you don't have time and groceries are expensive? You eat out. Yeah. Because fast food, God bless fast food, has basically remained affordable. I mean, like Jack in the Box is still real cheap. Like
In-N-Out is still pretty cheap. Yeah.
In-N-Out is whatever as a company, but like it's consistently affordable, and I appreciate that because I love In-N-Out, but it's almost more affordable to eat out at a fast food place every day than to.
Isn't that wild?
It's
almost, it really is almost more affordable to do that
truly.
Most of the time, and you don't have to spend the time and energy prepping things.
Yeah. Especially if you have kids that you need to feed, immediately drive through. I mean, the convenience is just worth it sometimes.
It absolutely
and that's okay.
is. And that's okay. Yeah.
But like learning how to grow something yourself is a sustainable way to create more food. It's tough because you have to like know how to grow and be consistent.
You have to have the time and the space.
And be consistent with taking care of some other living thing.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but
we do what we can.
We do what we can. We do our best.
I'm not shaming anybody that's feeding their kids McDonald's. No way.
No way. I know. Before I had kids, I was like, I'm never going to give my kids McDonald's.
I'm never going to give them a tablet.
They're only going to have vegan, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And now I'm like,
No.
Yeah, we can go get some McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
life is hard and it's demanding. And, this is a source of shame for so many of my friends and clients too. Like, I'm eating out too much. I'm eating out too much.
Yeah.
I'm getting Postmates too much. I'm getting drive-thrus too much. I need to save more money. And it's like, totally. Cooking for yourself does save money, but also, are you saving money if you go and buy all those groceries and then you don't have the time or energy
Absolutely.
to make anything with them?
And also, it's balance.
And it's balance.
You're working your ass off.
Yes.
And that balance to that is sometimes you eat out.
Yeah.
And maybe
Fed is best.
fed is best. Fed is best. There's a lot of people that don't get fed at all.
Yeah.
And I try not to waste food. I really don't like doing that. But
I'm really into freezing leftovers.
Yeah.
That's like a naughty thing I've inherited.
Costco, God bless Costco, because they are the only affordable grocery right now for me.
Literally.
Honestly.
Okay.
Literally, that's all we shop.
When it was like $8 everywhere else for eggs, you could get like 4 dozen eggs at Costco for the same price.
Yes. Yeah.
I
And
love
you can
Costco.
I don't know what I would do right now without Costco.
I love Costco.
You can get, if you plan accordingly, I would say, a good tip, get a Costco card if you can right now, because it's like $50 a year.
Yeah.
But you can get eggs, like 2 dozen eggs for like $5.
Yeah.
Big old can of pesto and a big thing of like good pasta.
They have good pasta there.
They're very good imported, like
The good pasta.
the European pasta with not all the crap in it.
Yeah.
They can get big old bags for like $10.
It's literally
maybe.
just like wheat and water in that pasta.
You can get
It's
things
amazing.
in bulk and like
It's better price for like
It's just-
non-dairy milks too. Way
I
better.
get the silk oat milk, baby. I get like 6 of them every time. It's just
Yes. You get a Costco membership for free if you sign up for AAA too. That's how we
Wow.
ended up becoming Costco members.
Costco sponsor us.
We've
This is
never
the
gone back. Can
sponsor us.
somebody sponsor
Can
us?
someone we're just going to keep talking about companies. But truly, Costco
Yeah.
has saved my behind
Me
lately.
too. Yeah. And like getting just like pantry stuff there, like getting their instant
Yeah.
ramen or their instant pho, like things
Yeah.
like that are ways that I can make sure that I actually eat something.
Yeah, we had a child here for a month. My niece,
Mm-hmm.
Gianna, came and stayed with us. And we were like, all right, babe, let's go to Costco, because we had to take her to school every day.
Mm-hmm.
She went to an acting camp like your kids did. And feed her and stuff. And it was like very interesting.
They're so hungry all the time.
Yeah,
It's
they
wild.
get expensive, and she's really funny because she's a vegetarian.
Cute.
And by choice. And she's not picky, but I got to know like what she would eat and what she wouldn't eat. Like, yeah, it's really cute. It's really cute. She likes boba.
Yeah, me
like
too.
There's like, yeah, it's just interesting. And I would say too, like if you're someone who doesn't or like judges a culture's food before you've even experienced or tried it, give it a shot, because it may not be you actually don't like it or want it. It might just be you haven't been exposed to it.
Gotta expand the palate.
You have to, because like I'm from a small ass town.
Yeah.
And that had one kind of crappy sushi place, and that opened up when I was in like high school. So I didn't have sushi until I was like in high school.
I can't even imagine.
I always dated outside my race. Luckily, I had like Filipino food and Mexican food.
Yeah.
All
Oh my
this
God, I
Mexican food all the
love
time,
Filipino
because
food.
that's the, predominant culture in where I'm from is Mexican. So we would just have all this shit, and it was great. But like outside of that, not so much. And I hadn't had Indian food. When I got married was the first time I had like Creole food, like soul food. Well, no, that's not true. But like Creole food, Chinese food that wasn't Panda Express, you know, like dim sum, like Indian food, which I absolutely love. Indian food.
I love dim sum.
Dim sum. I just love all of these other foods that are outside of what I grew up with, like Cuban food, like
I love
all
Cuban
of it.
food. I love
Spanish
every food.
Even though I'm
you know what?
Spanish, but like, you know.
I say I love every
Paella.
food, but I've never had like bangers and mash.
Okay, I haven't either. I have not had British food.
I've never had British food.
I've had poutine. That's like Canadian,
I've
right?
never had poutine either.
It's poutine.
It's like soggy
It's like-
French fries.
It's
right?
like fries with stuff on it.
yeah.
But yeah, I've never had like,
I've
what
never
is
had
it?
British food.
Haggis?
Haggis. I've had
Like Scottish
haggis
food?
because my mom had a Scottish friend growing
Oh,
up.
really?
So I have had that. But
I've
also,
never
like,
had
I eat
Scottish
menudo.
food.
It's like the same thing.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
prepared differently.
Yeah. So, yeah, food is a fun way to like, you know, just experience
The
other
world around
other
you.
worlds and
Yes.
travel and like. My husband and I are both foodies and very into like I want to try Ethiopian food. Like Helen Bile, who we
love
had
Ethiopian
on the show, is
food.
Ethiopian, and I've been telling her like, oh, we like, you know, when she was here, I was like, let's go, or like,
Yeah.
you know, but
I love
Mike's had it,
Ethiopian
but I haven't
food.
had it, and I really want it.
That's the one thing I miss about working downtown was that I was able to get the best delivery from all over Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's
and I
great.
would get Ethiopian food at least once a week. It's the
Yeah.
like spongy bread that you eat everything with, and then
Yeah.
sorrel, which is this like hibiscus drink, and it's like an ancestor to Jamaica, which is what is like an agua fresca, right?
Yeah.
That everybody drinks, the pink
Yeah.
one. And I think it's just so beautiful that this plant, hibiscus, was brought over as resistance, you know, during the Middle Passage, and it became integrated into different cultures
Yeah.
as well. And like the hibiscus tea, man, there's
Yeah.
potency in that.
Food is like music and performance, to tie this into the last episode, is universal. And I feel like when you experience different cultures' food, you learn more about those people and maybe you empathize with them more. You learn that Japanese food is different from Chinese food, that's different from Vietnamese food, that's different from like Korean food, and you not all Asians are the same, you know, like that sort of thing. And it's just a way to experience culture in an inviting way and to learn. And that's a really beautiful thing, I think.
Yeah.
Just,
Well,
I
and
don't know.
to go back to like pleasure too, like when we open ourselves up to consuming food prepared differently by different people,
yeah.
like we expand our capacity for experiencing pleasure. We really do.
You can tell a lot. Like when you eat something that someone's prepared, I can taste the intent.
Yeah.
I can like taste things, like I can discern things from the food.
Yeah, that's
And
why like
yeah.
cookies your grandma makes from you taste different than like cookies from a bag of Famous Amos.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really interesting, like just when something is authentically prepared, like, look, my husband and I both love Panda Express. But when we get something that's authentically Chinese and like prepared in the way or by those people,
And like
it's
in a
different.
Chinese, like a family restaurant,
Oh,
when you see
yeah,
like the
the Lazy
mom and the
Susan.
grandma.
Oh, there's a whole thing.
Oh, it's my favorite.
There's lots of yelling and it's fun. But
Yes.
that's what they say about like, you know, like if there's a kid doing their homework in the corner, it's like
You know
legit.
it's good, yeah.
If they have terrible Yelp reviews, it's legit. Like
If they
I
look
don't
at
judge.
you like you're not supposed to be there,
I don't judge. I don't judge a
That's the
restaurant.
place I want to be.
Yeah, I want to be judged heavily.
Exactly. When I walk in,
And-
I want them to be like,
yes.
"Why is this bitch here?" I'm like, "And that's how I know it's good."
Yeah, if it's too clean, I'm like, what's happening?
We found a new congee restaurant by our house. It's not new; it's been there a long time, but we finally went and ate there, and it's
Good.
amazing, amazing, amazing. Rice porridge
Yeah.
every day.
There's a few Chinese places by us. One is called OK Chinese Food. And I'm like, I bet it's more than okay.
I bet it's extremely good.
we have yet to try it, but there's a lot of fusion too in food, which is really beautiful. Like there's I think it's a Vietnamese Chinese fusion. There's a lot of just fusions of different things, and that's exciting for me too, because I like cool things making other cool things. You know, like it's creative.
Something that I think about a lot is how in other places, places that aren't America, like restaurants will serve one thing. Like they're good. Like this is ramen shop. This is tamale shop. And like they perfect the art of this one thing. But when we live here in the United States, it's like you have the Cheesecake Factory that has an 800-page encyclopedia menu. And is any of it really great? Not to knock the cheesecake. I will always say yes if you want to invite me to
I
Cheesecake
like
Factory.
Denny's, so I don't. Yeah,
Like I will absolutely eat there.
to each their own.
I am not critical, but there's also something about like
yeah,
the intention of perfecting a specific art of food
yeah,
versus like,
yeah.
you know, it's this kind of like almost factory energy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called the Cheesecake Factory, lol.
It is the cheesecake. This is a really funny example, but like Mike and I went to this. It's called Peggy Sue's Diner, and it's on the way back from Vegas.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
No, I've always wanted to go.
We actually went, and because it's like a very kitschy, creepy
Yeah.
50s Americana
I'm so curious.
throwback. And the food, it's like authentic 50s, like that kind of white
Like
people
Jell-O
food.
molds?
Yes. Like it was so authentically, like the malts were good, and like I'm white, I dip my French fries in my milkshakes.
I do like a
oh,
malt.
you do?
I like
yeah.
a
Do you put
malt.
your French fries
Absolutely.
in them? Okay,
If I'm
cool.
gonna eat
well,
dairy,
I'm American. I do that.
I'm
Maybe
gonna
it's
do
American
that,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like a malt with malt powder.
Yes.
And a cherry on top, and it was like vintage, and like the whole thing had been around forever, and like they had that counter. You sat
at the counter? Yes.
And like Flo served us, you know what I mean? And it was cool. But like that food
I wanna stop there next time we
tasted
go.
like that kind of food.
Yeah.
It
You
was
were like
really
in-
weird. Like
in frozen in time.
I was frozen in time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was very like weird and creepy,
Yeah.
and like I don't know, it was kind of fun.
I want to go.
Yeah, it was fun. There's a lot of tourists. It's like a tourist trap,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was cool. Like they're all playing like, you know, all the old songs and
Yeah.
all
Do they
that.
have the jukeboxes on the table there?
They had a jukebox like napkin holder type thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, the menus are like, you know, like gosh, I don't know, like Marilyn Monroe's matzo ball or something. You know what I mean? Like they had all kinds of like, it was just very kitsch, and
That's
I like
cute.
a kitsch camp
Me too.
moment. I really do. So
Mm-hmm.
it was weird, but I like weird. So
So many different ways to
Yeah.
explore and enjoy the magic of
I'm hungry.
food. Me too. I'm hungry now.
We have leftover pizza to go eat. So
Do we want to take any questions before we?
yeah, we can take one. Let's do one.
Let's do one. One
Before we
great
go
one.
eat our
pizza
yum
magic.
yum pizza, and have our pizza magician Mike reheat our pizzas.
Mike is so good at reheating the pizza. I cannot.
the leftover king. That's magic. Being able to transform leftovers into something palatable.
Absolutely.
He's very good at that. I mean, it makes sense. He's like with creatively what he does musically and mashes things together and
Yeah.
manipulates. It's cool.
Mike's a magician. Okay. This is a good question. When someone is affected negatively by spirits, what's going on with their own good spirits?
That's a very good
How come
question.
some folks are left unprotected? What role do spirits play in our protection?
I feel like that's a you question more than a me
I
question.
love this question.
That's a great question.
And it's got some layers, so we're going to peel them one by one as best we can in short form answer. So anyone can be susceptible to the influence of a turbulent or malevolent spirit, okay? Just like how I can take my vitamins every day, drink plenty of water, eat good food, and still end up getting sick.
Sick, yeah.
I could still get COVID. No matter how hard I try to take care of myself, I could still get the stomach flu. And it's not so dissimilar when it comes to our spirits. You can do all of the things that you need to do to build relationship with your good spirits, but sometimes stuff just happens. And the more psychically sensitive you are, the more you are aware of turbulent or malevolent spirits. And also when you're in the midst of spiritual awakening, you become a little bit more vulnerable to spirits. And if you don't have an established relationship with your guardians and your good spirits, there's only so much they can do to help you. And the reason why is that our good spirits respect our autonomy. They respect our free will. And until we grant them our consent for them to intercede on our behalf, there's only so much that they can and will do. And that's why I stress so much the importance of developing conscious relationships with your good spirits, because that's when they are able to protect you most and best. And I don't ever want anyone to think like they've done something wrong and that's how they end up with an attachment. Malevolent spirits can be something we're wrong place, wrong time. We're very sensitive to malevolent spirits when we've experienced trauma, abuse, sexual abuse, a car accident, things like that. And so life happens, and the same way you get sick, you might pick up a hitchhiking ghost from time to time. And it's not that your good spirits have abandoned you. It's just a symptom of being a human being on this spiritual earth. And no attachment is permanent. You can do things on your own to release them, or you can seek out help if you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
And it's all good.
I think that happened to me recently. I don't think it was like a super strong, because I'm pretty strong spiritually, but I was definitely in a depressive state and feeling vulnerable, and I think that something was perpetuating that.
Absolutely.
Because I can sort of tell when it's me and when it's, because I'm on medication for anxiety. I take Lexapro, and it should regulate that. And when I have exacerbated symptoms that should not be happening and they feel really foreign and extreme, I know it's likely some energetic force, whether it's an entity or just an energetic whatever, mishmash of whatever, something's off. And what I needed to do was go to Las Vegas and go through a portal and lose it. I went to
they found someone else to feed off of.
I went to a place where they couldn't, the delusions of grandeur were so strong and the lights were so bright that it was just like, ugh. And look, places are different to different people, but for me, Vegas is a place of light, okay? It is a place of literal light and happiness and happy memories. And I went somewhere that it couldn't follow, I think. And so I was able to figure that out. Yeah. And without calling up Caitlin and being like,
help
oh
my God, you really did need an exorcism. I thought you were joking.
No, I was sort of I say I do all the time because
that's why
funny.
I didn't know you were serious.
No, I might. I think I wasn't I would only ask you for an exorcism if I was real bad. But if it lasted for more than a few months, I'd probably be like, I need some assistance. But yeah, I also visualized and asked for help from my good spirits and imagined them surrounding me and just sort of visualized them holding hands or whatever and just having support in that way. And not everything's perfect all of a sudden, but I'm definitely out of an anxious, depressive state.
Funk.
Yeah. Then that can last a while. I was a month or two for me.
Yeah. There are entities that absolutely feed off of when we find ourselves in depressive or vulnerable states.
But it's true. Nothing lasts forever. That's truly helps me get through is when I'm in a depressive, anxious state is this is what's the word? Not permanent.
It's not permanent.
It's not permanent. Yeah. It's temporary. Thank you. It's just temporary.
Yeah.
This too shall pass. It will go, things will change. And I think I get stuck in that, this is how it is forever. Oh no. Panic mode sometimes with stress or money issues or whatever it is. But it's really a cyclical situation. And even those attachments or whatever will pass because you have resources like Caitlin and what you can do on your own to get out. And that's what's cool about, what Caitlin does and what other spiritual practitioners of that nature do, because it's work that like people are very skeptical about and people are very just like sus about, but it's an important community offering to have. It's important to have people that have good intent and are knowledgeable and can showcase what their ancestors taught them, you know? And I think it's okay you make it okay to ask for help. Yeah. And not, and do it in the privacy and seclusion that they may ask for, or whatever it is. I just think it's like a very therapeutic, helpful, legitimate practice. And so that was a long explanation.
You touched on something important, which is like you realized that the feeling wasn't just your own. Yeah. And that's something that so many of my clients who I've helped with at that capacity have had in common. And it's something they feel a lot of shame and embarrassment about. Like almost afraid to say, like, I feel like it's not my own. And because, it's like, oh, well, you're crazy. It's all in your head. No. Like, where else is it coming from? And so I think I provide a space of relief because somebody like believes them and understands.
Yeah, it's also not owning all of that for themselves. It's like saying like, I'm depressed, and just like labeling your like words, like labeling yourself. I'm depressed. Like currently I feel this way. Currently I feel this way. And I think
don't own your blocks.
Don't own your blocks. And I do that. I'm saying it because I do it. But like having somebody say, no, this is not all your fault. This is not even your fault to begin with. Like there's other forces that can happen. Yeah. And because we're taught that like magical cultural practices are not real and in our heads and that we are crazy, we're going to think that. Yeah. That's the first thing we're going to think.
Ourselves and
I mean, it's just like that's okay to have a skeptical mind. That's actually a really good thing. But to know and to know yourself enough to be like, this is even if it is something that maybe isn't an attachment or an entity, like knowing like this is more than I can handle right now. Yes. Let me ask for get therapy, talk therapy, spiritual therapy. That's what that is. And so there might be someone else might be able to recognize something or at least take the burden off. Like it's just it's important work. That's what we did as witches and as magical. That's what we do. That's in whatever different ways that we do what we do. Like that's what we do. So
a holistic approach is of the body, the mind, and the spirit. Yeah. Yeah. And different practitioners help you in different ways with the different things. Yeah.
And some of them are not well-intentioned, and that's unfortunate, but
discernment.
It's just, not one size does not fit all in this case.
And it's okay to shop around.
But it's okay. Yeah, it's okay to shop around and say no to people and have a consultation to be like, I don't think you're the right one for me. Just like a good therapist, they'll say at any time, if you want to change your therapist,
I was thinking
I will not be offended.
I need to do a blog post about like questions to ask a spiritual practitioner before saying yes. Yeah. Because like I don't say yes to every client that comes to me because I would never say yes to someone who I knowingly can't help. Yeah. But I feel like it would be helpful for clients to have a frame of reference of questions they can ask practitioners to help them decide whether or not someone's right for them. I'm going to work on that.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. Anyway, that was a long-winded answer. Sorry.
They came to hear us talk, Laura.
They did. That's true. I'm always like, I'm sorry I'm entertaining
sorry for
you.
Existing.
I'm sorry.
On my own show.
I'm sorry. That's all listen to 30 about. I'm so sorry.
Wow, this was a super cool episode.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
And thank you for listening to Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to leave us a message on the Third Eye line. Bye. See you next week.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Caitlin Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Realm. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at LadyMoonCo, and you can find Caitlin at caitlin.grania.